In this screencast, we're going to be talking about reflexive verbs in the present progressive. If you'd like to fast forward to the present progressive, you could do so now. Reflexive verbs are used to describe what a person does to or for oneself. In other words, the person is both doing and receiving the action. For example, when we say the sentence, I wash my hair, I am the person washing, and I am also the person getting my hair washed. So it's almost reflected back to me as in the action. So, we wash our hands. Are we washing and are we the ones being washed? Yes, that is reflexive. If they are washing their faces, they are the ones doing the washing and their faces are the ones getting washed. Yes. She bathes her daughter. If she were bathing herself, it would be reflexive, but because she's bathing somebody else, it's not reflexive. You put makeup on your friend. You are not the one getting the makeup, so that one is also not. And he brushes his teeth. Also reflexive because he is the one doing the brushing and receiving the brushing. A reflexive pronoun has two parts. It has the verb and the pronoun. What's new for students is going to be this reflexive pronoun, and you've seen it on the end of your verbs in your vocab lists, things like duchar, say, bañar, say, despertar, say. The say at the end is actually a reflexive pronoun. Me, te, se, nos, os, and se are reflexive pronouns that we're going to be working with. You can see that the me, te, nos, and os is equivalent to the same thing as direct objects and indirect objects, except down at the bottom for the elio, usted, and the eos, eas, ustedes, it's going to be se. To find out if a verb is reflexive in Spanish, you need to see if you can find the reflexive pronoun in the sentence. For example, yo me seco, you can see the me, meaning that it is reflexive. Me lavo has a reflexive pronoun. Yo lavo mi carro, I wash my car, you can see that there's no me anymore, so it's not reflexive. Se baña, you can see the reflexive se. Baña a su hija, not reflexive because we lose the se. Nos cepillamos, yes, we see the nos. Se maquillan, we see the se, so it is reflexive. And cepillamos el perro, no reflexive pronoun, so it's not going to be reflexive. How are we going to conjugate verbs? To conjugate a reflexive verb, you need to ignore the se or take it off and then just conjugate it out as normal. You need to be able to watch out for those irregulars and stem changers though. So for example, if we wanted to take the verb bañarse, which means to bathe, and say I bathe myself or I bathe, we need to ignore the se, get rid of it, and then we're left with a regular AR verb, which can be conjugated baño, bañas, baña, bañamos, bañáis, and bañan, or if you were working in the preterite tense, bañé, bañaste, bañó, bañamos, bañastes, and bañaron. So if we wanted to say I bathe, we need to just conjugate as normal, baño, but then we need to remember that a reflexive pronoun needs to be used. Because we are conjugating in the yo form, the yo form reflexive pronoun is me, and it needs to go before the conjugated verb. So to say I bathe myself or I bathe, you say yo me baño. Other verbs that we've seen, levantarse means to get oneself up. Me levanto, te levantas, se levanta, nos levantamos, os levantáis, and se levantan. Notice that acostarse and despertarse are stem changers. Acostarse is an ODUE stem changer, so it's not me acosto, but me acuesto. Of course, it only occurs in the boot, so the nos acostamos and os acostáis are going to remain normal. Despertarse is E to IE, so me despierto, nos despertamos, and the stem change doesn't continue outside of the boot. Dormir, of course, ODUE, duermo, duermes, duerme, making it reflexive. Me duermo, te duermes, se duerme. Vestirse is E to I. This one's tricky for students. A lot of people forget it. Me visto instead of vesto. Visto, vistes, viste, vestimos, vestis, and visten. With the me visto, te vistes, se viste. All of those reflexive pronouns need to be out front. Me cepillo los dientes. Raquel se lava el pelo. Las niñas siempre se visten. Nosotros nos peinamos. Te lavas la cara. Las chicas se secan. Yo me despierto. Maria se arregla. Carlos se acuesta. And then finally, mi familia y yo comemos. A lot of students will write nos comemos. But really, if you're saying yo me despierto is I wake myself up, mi familia y yo nos comemos means my family and I eat ourselves, which you do not do. If there are infinitives, or the expressions antes de or después de, which means before or after, they are always followed by an infinitive verb. And whenever we're dealing with infinitives, we cannot conjugate. So for example, if you wanted to say, before putting myself to bed, or before going to bed, I plan to brush my teeth, you would say antes de acostarme, where the acostar is not conjugated, but you're going to see that the acostarse changes to acostarme because I am the one going to bed. After the conjugated pienso, you do not conjugate cepillar, but again, you can see that the se needs to change to a me. Después de levantarme, tengo que lavarme la cara. After getting myself up, I have to wash myself the face. That's what it literally translates to. When a reflexive verb follows a conjugated verb, you can either attach the pronoun to the end of the infinitive, or you can put the pronoun before the conjugated verb. For example, the pienso cepillarme, like I said, the cepillar is after a conjugated pienso, so you can say pienso cepillarme, tengo que lavarme, or quieres despertarte, or you can choose to put that out in front, much like we learned with direct objects and indirect objects. Me pienso despertar is another example of that. Instead of saying pienso despertarme, you can say me pienso despertar. I always recommend that you put the pronouns out front. So again, you can see a conjugated necesitan. The children need to wake up early. Necesitan despertarse, or you can say se necesitan despertar. Moving on to the present progressive. In Spanish, the present progressive describes something that is happening right now. It's the equivalent of the ing in English, so walking, driving, thinking. The present progressive is formed by using the verb to be and a present participle of a verb. We have two verbs that mean to be, ser and estar, and because this is something that is temporary, I am walking is a very temporary thing, we're going to go with the verb estar. For example, they are singing is going to look something like ellos están cantando, and we'll see how that works. The first thing we're going to do is conjugate a star. You need to pick whoever is doing the action. We know how to conjugate a star. Don't forget your accents on the bottom four. And then finally, you're going to use this present participle, also known as a gerund or a gerundio in Spanish. To form that present participle for AR verbs, you are going to take a verb, take off its ending, and add ando. So jugar becomes jugando, much like the song Bailando. You can see that means dancing. ER and IR verbs, you're going to start with your ER or IR verb, and they're the same for either. You're going to take off your ending and add iendo. So escribir becomes escribiendo. We do have some irregulars. Verbs that have a stem that end in a vowel, like leer, creer, construir, traer, and ir, technically, is a stem within itself. The I is going to change to a Y to preserve its aesthetic appeal. Instead of having three vowels in a row, L-E-I-E-N-D-O, the I is going to change to a Y. Ir just becomes yendo. IR stem changers. If this verb stem changes in the present tense and it is IR, it's also going to stem change in its gerund form. Dormir, durmiendo. Make sure to emphasize that you are saying a U. Durmiendo instead of dormiendo. Muriendo instead of moriendo. Morir, of course, means to die. Servir means to serve. Sirviendo, vestir, to dress. Vistiendo, competir, to compete. Compitiendo, and decir is diciendo. Three examples of this. Tú estás trabajando, you are working. Ella está leyendo, she is reading. Nosotros estamos durmiendo, we are sleeping. It's important to note that while you can say tú estás trabajando, the vast majority of the time you will just hear people say tú trabajas. The present tense that we've learned is still used more than this present progressive. The present progressive is really used to emphasize that it is happening at this very moment. If there are reflexive verbs and you would like to make it a present, form it in the present progressive, the same rules apply, but you have to remember to add the reflexive pronoun. Of course, those are me, te, se, nos, os, and se. The reflexive pronouns can either be placed before the conjugated form of estar. So me estoy arreglando is I am getting ready. Or you can attach it. Estoy arreglándome. Except here's when you get into accent trouble. If you need to attach it, or if you choose to attach it, you have to also remember to put an accent on the e